usual, but that's okay. Today we should be doing triage. And that should be. Let's just double check. Yep. So today we would be checking to see if there were any bugs that we discovered, what reproduction steps that we may or may not have, and are the bugs more priority than what we've committed to doing for the day. Otherwise, we will do some more development work. Given given the only thing we've done is one of the tickets regarding the landing view, really, there's nothing to triage because there are no bugs so far. We will go through some more intentional QA steps tomorrow, so that might make some bugs show up, but so far, I think we're okay. So what we'll do is we'll just keep moving forward with development work. So let's pull the board up. Okay. So here's what we did the other day. Let's get this committed. So maybe that's something that we can do. So let's pull up Bitbucket real quick. And then this is this is one of those things in development that's always fun, is trying to remember how to do something that you only do maybe once or twice a year, if that. So I do have a repository. Let's yank him over. It's empty, of course, but what I need to do is set where the current work is to this repository, and I always forget what the git commands are for this, because there's a way to do it so that you can take an existing piece and then like pull it down and then put this stuff in there. I could be really lazy and just like clone this and then move the stuff inside, which might be fine. But yeah, I think we're just going to be lazy about it because I don't like using source tree, so like that's that's something that I deal with, and then I don't want to think through and waste a bunch of time, so it's okay as long as we get there, it's gonna be okay. So how do I want to do this? I think, let me take a look around here. Didn't store it in the normal place. Oh, where are you, honey? Let's get a terminal up. Okay. So I let's put us there. Okay, we will. Valid credentials, huh? How funny. That's not what we wanted to do. Fascinating. Just kind of did it. Okay. Okay, so let's. So right now we have two of them. One's the one that we were working on, and then the other one is the one that I just cloned from Git, so this should be nice and empty. I'm just gonna. Again, I'm sure there are very intentional ways of doing this by like setting the remote up or setting Git up in the directory and then telling it that its origin is there. I don't remember enough of the keywords for what I just described to we'll skip that git ignore since I want the one that KMM made. Actually, that's gonna give me the wrong one, isn't it? No, just open it with Notepad, please. Let's see what the difference is real quick before we commit. Where's our git ignore? Let me just add those. Perfect. I'll just save that. Close that out. Close this out. Open. Fascinating. Why don't you see it? Let's take that over here. Let's take a look. Take a look. So it does see it, just Android Studio doesn't see it, which is strange. There we go. It caught up. Okay. I can trust it because it's me. I would like to open it in this window. I would like to terminate. Okay. While Gradle's building. I don't think we're where we want to be. Okay. Let me just make sure this means what I think it does. I'm guessing local file. Jeez. A really clever plot to make you think this through. Probably, I think we'll be okay. If anything, we still have the original project, so it's not as if we'll lose something by doing this. So, uh, calculated risk and all. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about it. Get commit. I know I could have done a shorter command to do all of this at once. I just don't care to. Um, I kind of. This is why I wasn't using something like Source Tree or any other visual um, version control software. I learned how to do this on the terminal once. I screwed this up the first time I used it big time. It took a long time to fix, and now I'm in a position where it's like, okay, I know the terminal commands well enough to just do them and do kind of use both. So that is why I do these things in steps, because I like to see them and ensure that what I expect to have happen happens. Um, so that's just why they're done this way. Now, something important here, I think we're going to need to do the thing that I said we were going to do, which is put the ticket number in. So this is field 1, so that's good to know. And then just a message of what I did. This can be, this is kind of a team to team thing on how this is done. You should always kind of check in and see what commits look like at the place you're coming into. I myself am pretty okay with just stating what you did, and if there's like anything crazy that went on, especially with like bug fixes and stuff, I would put them in there. Version control's evolved so much over the time that I've been using it that it's kind of permissive in, you know, just whatever it is you want to do to capture the commit and then capture what goes in, and capture a commit and then change that before it even hits main. So yeah, like that's the thing. I think we're even on main right now, so I don't believe I've got this set to yell at us, but I should create a branch for the next story that I work on, just so I'm not I'm not committing directly to main. That is a bad thing. Don't do that. But this is the initial commit, so we just need to get this in there so that we can get started. But yeah, so for field 1, what did we do? Well, yesterday we nations. And that's really what we did. So do that. Let's see if it'll let me. Let's see if I shut this off or turn it on. Okay, we're pushing. Yep, straight into main, which is fine because again, this is our initial commit. We really haven't done anything just yet. So if we take a look, we should be able to see that we did it. Excellent. And then yeah, field 1, and see how this is set up as a link. This is the reason why we do this. So now, whenever we look back into the past, if we look at the commits on here, we should only see a couple right there, field 1. So if ever I need to go back and reference what was done, and again, a lot of VCS will do this, or at least have something that will allow you to link these like this. So yeah, I can find out who was assigned to it, if it had a parent ticket, team, like just all the things that you kind of care about on here, and then any comments or history for this ticket. So now I have a weak form of documentation that will allow me to understand why that commit was made. And then it's just nice. It's nice when it all links together like that. But at the very least, even if whatever it is you're using doesn't allow you to put a ticket number on there, or you're using something that doesn't label those things, like you want something. It's good to have something that refers back to work that was done. So I would highly encourage you. I don't need you to use Jira, but for whatever it is that you are using, make sure that it has some way of archiving and some kind of way of giving context so that you can keep track of that in your commits. So, please, it'll save you in the future when you're trying to figure out why somebody from 5 years ago did whatever it is that they did. But yeah, so that puts that there, which means that this is ready for QA. So normally we would have a code review process, but again, we're getting the initial commit in there for things going on. It is just me. I think we'll code review the next thing just to go through that process and make sure that that can happen. But since we talked at length about it yesterday and kind of looked into what we were doing and even split it out into nice little components there, I think we're okay. We will do a code review on the next one. So what that means is now that this is done, you can put that into the QA column, and then we will take a look at that tomorrow and make sure that I did the things that I said I would do. So, cool. Since we're on a Kanban, we take from the top, and we're kind of our choice on which one we want to do of the next two. I think I want to do the journal. So the reason I want to do the journal entry function next is because, again, I think we're going to have some learning curve on setting up a view model for one of these views, and I want to be sure that that the UI I'm about to build is simple, because this is one step instead of three. Because remember, I know this is a little difficult to see, but this wheel has 3 rings on it. So there's 3 steps in that part, and that will require us to move through them. It's a different UI thing we got to think about. Journal entry function is just a text box and a button. So we're gonna do that so that we spend less time on worrying about how to put the UI together and more time on how it is we want to put together the view model and make sure that they interact. And then also something else. So let me pull the story up so that we can see why this is happening the way it is. This step here, reporting back the data. So that matters, and we need to figure out how we're going to implement that and what it is that we want to do to keep track of what this user has done. So that is something that we need to figure out. I have an idea. We're going to see once we get moving and how maybe the view model suggested to do something, or how it shares data back. We'll find something else. But I think I have an idea of how we're going to keep track of this data. So let's get started. So what I'm thinking here is we'll build all our composable first, and this is something. So we already have it, so that's good, because again we're working off of that. Why are these all still red? They shouldn't be. They should have updated. Let's check something here. Interesting. So the thing I'm looking at, these colors should have updated because I wonder if we're still on the old project. It looks like we are. Yeah, we are. No, we're not. Okay. All right, hold on. Android Studio being difficult. So for those who are unfamiliar, the colors on the side there update to show like what their status is, um, as far as like Git is aware. So if you look now, like they're all in white text. Um, when they're red, that means they're new, and they haven't been added to the added to Git's knowledge. Um, when you add them, they should turn green. The blue ones mean that they're edited. So what I would have expected is that these would have updated to white after I had made that commit. So, yeah, something's weird about that. So let's close this terminal out. Can I please be in the? All right, good. How very weird. Um, yeah, and as a reminder, Android Studio, which is what I'm using, it is built on top of. It is not built by JetBrains, so it can be clunky sometimes. um, just something to be aware of. Let's see. So we're going to want to build a view model, and yeah, so we want that just happened. Like this is as empty as it needs to be. Let's get the Gradle taskless away. Let's look at. Okay, cool. Now I get to figure. There you are. Okay. Okay. Let's let that operate for a moment. Cool. Something else that's funny, I'm surprised it doesn't show it as a preview for what it's supposed to be in. Like, what's... Interesting. Normally the design view takes on the shape of, like, whatever it is you're targeting. So up here I've got the Pixel 6, just as an arbitrary phone size. But, like, usually this is it shows you the box and then puts it up there, like you would expect. But it's fascinating that it doesn't. So, and what are you? You're the design view. Okay. UI check, interactive, run preview, and isolation mode. Interesting. So you could ask it to run on the Pixel 3, I guess. Fascinating. So let's see here. Okay. All right, let's build it. So let's see if it's still called the same things that I remember. Yeah, I think it's getting the Android X. Edit text, yeah, this isn't what it is. So, this is not what the widget's called. What do we want? Basic text field. Okay. Interesting. You would think these would just be on by default so that you would not have to set them on. So, but the way this reads is that you have to turn them on or off. Fascinating. This reminds me of like TikTok, where when you're sending messages, it doesn't do auto capitalization with the standard keyboard. Fascinating. Oh yeah, because it's the character 0. So that's a ASCII thing to say that that's a space. Oh no, this allows leading zeros. That's dumb. Okay. Right. Yeah, ASCII would have it as a value. Mm. Okay. This is also weird syntax that I keep seeing for this mutable state of. Um, I wonder. I'm gonna have to look into why they're all just empty strings. So it's strange. So I'm guessing this view model's getting added here. Interesting. Yeah, like I know the shorthand is helpful for making this like nice and small, but the issue is like, okay, yeah, make sure you use your view model and use your view model to do shit synchronously. But it's like, why? Why won't you show me how this gets to here? Like, it's important to know that this text field is aware of the view model, but instead of saying how, it's just like, no, it just has it. No. Well, let's look at how to handle a text field in Compose. sliced it into the view model. Look out for future releases. Jeez. Why would you... Basic text field to API. Jesus. I mean, kind of. So... Yeah, this is the part that's fascinating. It's important to not use reactive streams to define the state variable for text field. So we incorrectly define the underscore username so that you know it's that. Mutable state flow to store the text field, expose it by defining the immutable backed username. Update username will call a service to verify if it's available. Yeah. And then every time, if validation fails, show an error message asking to pick a different username. So this is... It's an anti-pattern now, but this used to be the way you did it. Like you would set up something stateful and then give the quote unquote view, because composables didn't exist at the time, give it access to this and then have it perform reactions. Okay, so if we run, should be able to test it. Some letters are skipped as we typed. Oh, welcome back. Yeah, I've been on and off. I'm trying to become consistent again. Hi, Tobias. I'm working through how to redo all these things. I'm doing okay. It's funny, I feel like I'm new at doing Android again, even though this used to be the primary way I did development. we're relearning how to do just regular UI. How are you doing? Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, JavaScript's fun. At some point, I'm going to have to do JavaScript as well. I've had enough folks talking about building personal websites. I don't have like a personal or portfolio-esque website, and probably should. So I've been trying to get back into React, and it's been a minute since I last used it. Yeah. Yeah, and we're doing this in pieces. The thing that I do, because I've been on project management for so long. Well, my blog is for I mean, for you and for everybody else, the blog I have doesn't have as much technical stuff in it because a lot of what I do is like management related. I write a lot about how to manage folks, but I need to I do need to talk more about technical things. But the other problem too is because I've normally been a manager, I'm kind of high up in the abstraction. So a lot of what I talk about is very abstract. But like to talk about for your bulk learning instead, like spaced versus bulk. Yeah, I'm doing things in parts because I'm an old project manager as well. So I have a board on Jira that I've put together for all of the things that I'll be working on. And each one is like a small piece of what I need to do. So today's is like figuring out how to store the edit text in something observable, which is why we've got this managing state management for view models, where it's telling me the way I used to do things is different than what I currently do. So, yeah, I mean, this makes sense. Like, little interaction model there. Okay, so then what do we... Yeah, I mean, if you're using the default dispatcher. Okay, so it's just saying that mutable state flow is slow, which, fair. um, yeah, yeah, because it'll get overridden because these are asynchronous. Okay, so... Okay, so this is how to store. It wants you to store this. Mm-hmm. Asynchronous operations. Okay. This is confusing. Okay, so because immutable state of... Okay, I'll have to see what that builds. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's pull up. I want to see the architecture now for how view models work with Compose. Nope, I don't want a code lab. These are usually old. Okay. It's interesting. So this is like a singleton, I guess. But mm-hmm. Until the activity is finished or the process is killed. So that's fascinating. Go away, OneDrive. Nobody likes you. No, that's not what I want. Okay. Let's see if we can't. Something to consider too, because I'm doing a KMM project. I've not been sold on having shared view models just yet. There are some things about iOS that I'm not 100% on, and it's nice to use their implementations for things relating to the view. So I've not done that just yet. We might do that in the future, just as a exercise, but also why we would want to do that. I wonder, 'cause I'm just kind of looking for what people are doing. Very, very MVI. Yeah, these are nice. I like states like this. But yeah, it tells you which state that's in. Fetches the stuff, which is fine. Hmm. That's a nice clean way to do it. I mean, that is nice. Hmm. All right, now we're getting into it. So how do we do this? Hmm. I don't know if that really tells me what I'm looking for. So because the way that it was described here, when we take a look, so it talks about how it'll always return the same view model as long as whatever it is that you're looking at is alive. So The thing I'm. Yep. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm out in Washington State, so I am on I am on the furthest west coast of ours, so that's why I'm here around this time. And you're saying that it's in the evening, so you must be a good distance away on the other side. Europe? Okay, cool. It's been a while since I've been to Europe. Um, that's something else I'm trying to figure out too, because I would like to find time slots that uh, cover um, cover enough folks that are interested. Especially if I can get started talking about my management things again. But I'm having I'm having a lot of fun putting together this project. Although now I'm trying to figure out how we keep view models alive, which it's in. Hmm. I'm wondering if it's outside of the composable, but that it'll survive. That'll be something we can test actually. So let's. Hmm. Okay. So let's see here. I'm just gonna add another package here. Um, oh dear. Yeah, the first stream I did had two of these, and then the second one I had a couple of these, and I need to remember. There we go. I always forget this part of it. Like it wants some like small amount of whatever. Someday I'll be super famous and I'll have mods that'll do this. But for now, I will report the scam. Let's see here. Let's, what do we call this? Yeah, my naming conventions are all off too, because now I don't have distinct fragments and things like I did before, so. Eh, you don't need to be added to Git just yet. Okay. So we got that. But we want to make sure that we're seeing what's coming through here. So we want the mutable state of for what dealing with here. Oh, does the light dim a lot? I gotta figure that out. The IDE is small, yeah. I'm on a large TV, which makes it easier for when I have to do like this. I wonder if I should switch to the smaller monitor when I do this so that it's much more visible. That probably would be easier. So if I were to do... let's see here. Hold on one second. We're going to go dark for a moment. We're going to do this. And no. And then this. Hey, don't do that. There we go. And swap those guys around. And keep this over here. Okay. There we go. Get it on a smaller screen. Make it a lot more readable. I just have to be aware of the size of it. Yeah, the light dimming it's funny because I'm using I use a larger TV to stream what I'm doing, and I'm guessing it dimming the... I would think that dimming would be a function of the screen, not of the feed. So interesting. I'll have to see what I can do about that. I might also move it back around and have the text just be larger in the IDE so it's a little easier to read. But this should make it a bit easier. Just have to be aware of what I'm looking at. Good. Thank you for mentioning it, because I see it in the... I'll see it in the VOD afterwards, and it's one of those things. I mean, it's something you probably experienced when you're looking through code for a long time. It's like, oh, I've just been staring at this all day. It looks fine. I don't see any problems. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Okay, so let's see here. We need some mutable state. What do we call this? Okay, so that's just saying the initial is a... Oh, this is a compose thing. Okay. There's no method. Yeah, I know you don't. This can't serve as a delegate. Return a new immutable state. Interesting. Why? What would you like me to do? Poor rendering. See, I'm wondering if this isn't the coroutine one. Probably isn't. It should be a different. Oh, there's only that one. Okay. We'll figure out why it's having an issue there. Okay. Let's get this. Oh. That's funny. You should be able to. I don't think that's a. I'm wondering if I'm missing something that they're doing on their setup, or if they're just doing this shorthand, which would also be unfortunate. But let's see. I'm gonna keep moving forward until I just can't do anymore. Okay. Yeah, me too. But yeah, what I'm looking at is this over here, and this is going to be exponentially smaller. Some of this. Oh no, don't. You're probably right, but I'm looking like it's not this opt-in. I know what this is for. This is for. Uh, or at least it should be. Yeah, because that's part of this state flow piece here. That's what this experimental annotation's for. But this is this is the thing. Like I like to try and follow the written documentation from Android first before I go searching for something else. It's not always great, but this should be how it works. And I know this is from Medium, but it is from the official Android developers page on how they put these things together. So see, yeah, and it's just okay. So how interesting. I wonder if I'm missing something or if I just need to build. We'll just let it run through and see if it just builds something for us. Yeah, it could be private, but it's not. Interesting. Well, let's look it up. Let's see what this has no method get value. Seriously? would be. Interesting. So yeah, this first one mentions just that it missed imports, and then it's mentioning what you thought, which is it's the equal sign, which makes sense because it should be building something and assigning it as the value. All right, we're going to try the first thing just because I want to see if it does anything, which would be rather silly. Why? Oh dear. So why didn't it import those? All right, hold on. You're gonna see me become a QA again. All right. Yeah. Import get value. So, and then it's gonna say that it doesn't have one for set value. How weird. Why does it work like that? It's see, and that's the problem too. Like when you do examples, like you have to. There are no imports in this example, so there's no way to know that like something that you would think should like this is when I would advocate for like, yeah, you can copy and paste that. That's not like it's not this like copy and pasting this without thinking about it, like that's bad. Like you just don't unless you're trying to like do it and then dig in yourself in the IDE. But this like I understand. I know what this does. I know what it's supposed to do, but because there are no imports here, like you would never think to check and see. Oh, come on. Oh shoot. I wonder if there's. Let me see something here. Do they have? No, they don't. That's unfortunate. Normally, the next thing you would check for with something like this is to see if they added a repository so you could just see what the imports are supposed to be, or at least run this example. But they didn't, so you can't. Okay. Yeah, and then I bet it doesn't mention. Yeah, and it doesn't mention needing those imports. What a fascinating way to do that. Okay, so we have that now. We want to handle the user's input. So, um, for like buy is just like a fancy. It's a fancy Kotlin thing. Um, I for that. I'm gonna have to hang on a sec. Yeah, because I'm used to using this all the time for lazy loading, but interesting. I'm thinking they're using the buy here so that we can keep the setter private, so that it doesn't try and do like it won't let you pull the because since this is a public property, it won't let or public variable. Excuse me. Um, like I wouldn't hang on. So like if I was to have this, which also like this is so strange. But like if I was to do that and then keep deleting. So right now that makes it oh, okay. So it like delegates that to the state. So then that changes it so this needs to be by value. Which this is what I'm used to for setting these things up. But it looks like it's, in this case, it's cute like sugar to, one, not have to access the value directly. Like it's saying, like it's observing this is the value. But also, I wonder if I can still do private set. I think I can. Because I think I know that this is regular context for Colin, so that makes it so I can't just go here, do do that, and then like so this shouldn't work, or maybe it does. I'm wondering if it's preventing setting the value directly. Yeah, because then if I was like, I can't set this to a new yeah, so I can't do this on the state object because like I'm not allowed to. I've set that private, but it looks like what this is doing is it's one, it's doing the, it's making it so that instead of this being a reference directly to the mutable state object, it's making it a reference to its value. And so whenever it's interesting, it's weird that like kind of hides that this is actually updating whatever this is. Hang on, let's where there's a tool for this. Gosh, I haven't used this in a while. There should be a way to, I think this is what I want. So hold on. Because what I think it's doing is, yeah. So I don't know. Have you used the bytecode inspector before? Because this is this is neat for me because I come from a long line of Java, but it can give you an idea of like kind of what the syntax sugar is doing to do this. Yeah, I mean this only helps because Android was on Java 8 for so long, so a lot of the things it does are Java-esque, but it's looking like so it's under tools, and then you scroll to Kotlin, and then there's a show Kotlin bytecode, and it should do it for whichever file you're looking at. Yeah, so here's that mutable state we made. Yeah, some of these won't make sense in it for what we're doing, but it's okay. And then we've got some kind of static thing here. So it is building the mutable state in the background when it puts that together. And then so here's that get that it was talking about to like fetch the fetch what's inside of there, returns a string, makes sense because we set that up as that kind of state. And some of this is going to be like actual bytecode. man, I need to get back into reading this. Yeah, checks to make sure it's a string, and does some other setup stuff that we really don't care about. Here's the setter that should be doing nothing because we've told it not to. And here's that update for the entry. So I'm wondering if this is where we'll find that it's observing. I don't think we need to decompile. Oh, what did you do? Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got version control. I can push as many buttons as I want. All right, let's do that. Okay, this is a little more readable. Ugh, okay. So yeah, here's that. Here's our view state, which gets a snapshot, mutable state of. Yeah, that's just regular, how you set that up in Java. The get, the set, and then the update. Yeah, so what it's doing in the back, like, again, like it's cute syntax to do all of this over here. So like you see, the get and the set still exist. That's I actually I don't know if the newer versions of Java still require you to build get and set methods, but like when I started with Java, you always wrote get and set for every variable that was in. I'm gonna forget the term for it. It's been so long, but like every variable usually got a getter and a setter if it was going to be accessed from outside of it, outside of its scope. So, and you, that was just what you did. So that's what this is doing here, where we've got this mutable state piece, and if you, as you go through it, like it's getting it from the journal entry delegate here. So this mutable state that we've created, and then if it's got no value, does like logically when you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then the setter here is private because we set it as private in the actual code here. So that's this piece here that's making it so it doesn't work. And then when we update the entry, we're going through and using the setter that exists for this. So the setter here. So that's so what I think the by is doing is it's signaling that yeah, I know, right? But yeah, because it helps. It can sometimes help with stuff like this, but yeah. So that's what that by is doing. The by is saying that this is the entry that's going in. At least in this case, it's the entry that's going into here, to say that this is this mutable state. Like that's what we're mutable stating by, and then that's why instead of what we normally do, like would you because like you and I are used to the same thing where we set it equal to the state of, instead of having to do the dot value here. Well, no, this is the dot value. It's the by. So that's why this works the way it does. It reduces the amount of like, well, yeah, it reduces a lot of code for something that's now readable that we understand it. But two, it makes it so that, the value of that mutable state is not settable, which is that's nice. I like that. That's like a nice compact way of doing that, which I'm sure is more lines of code if I wanted to do it differently. But yeah, okay. So then that's how that works. I'm still surprised that it needs these runtime things here. I'm not exactly sure what these imports are doing, but I'm sure it has something to do with how mutable state of works when it's putting something together. But we don't need to dig into that today. I can go away. I've got that hidden. Um, okay, cool. Yeah, and it's going to complain that this can be private, but it can't. I'm going to need it. Nifty. All right. So yeah, you and I both. I've used buy before. I usually use it for lazy implementations. Because when I was working with multi-platform, I would use it to invoke things without needing a dependency injection framework because I was lazy and that project needed a lot of time. So I didn't know that that's what it was doing in the background. So that's cool. All right, so we need this view, and that is what did they call this? It's like an editable view or a. Let's just use an outline text field because I don't feel like looking up another one. So we got that. All right, have a good one, man. Let's see here. So we got a value. Okay, so then, yeah, we want to pull the value from there. So let's make this. I'm surprised it doesn't just do this on separate lines. It's probably a setting somewhere. So view model dot journal entry. That's also nice too, because then I don't have to do journal entry dot value. Just reads. Then we've got on value change. Then we want to take the oops. Okay, it's just setting a. Show you what I'm looking at. Yeah, what it's doing is it's turning the value into a lambda and then using that so it makes sense in context. So let's do that. And see, this is why we need the explicit setter. Update entry to entry. So cool. Now we have it so that it can remember this view model and get the journal entry from it. And I'm guessing this is what helps us through rotation. But we're going to find out. Like, this is something, like, you always want to check and make sure it works the way that they say it does. But this should... let's see here. Yeah, I know. We're rendering. Okay, cool. So here's our little box. We'll have to see about making it like larger. And also giving it a hint. I wonder if that's... I think the text would be setting the text, but is there like a dot hint or... Well, let's find out. I would always encourage you to look at something first. And then when it's confusing, I would say, if you can, look into documentation and then start using things like a ChatGPT or something. The reason why is, like, this looks overwhelming, but because we are now like more than 40 years into like text-based coding and IDEs and design, it's the transformation of so for a practical example, like for those of you that play video games, you might notice that in modern gaming, there's usually some form of like tutorial level. And it's like either it'll say it on the screen to do the thing, or it'll let you explore the buttons and do something. Like, There are ways of conveying to a user what to do in the game that are in universe, that are, something such that you don't have to try and memorize a bunch of things before you start playing. The problem is that when I started gaming back in 1986, we didn't know that. We didn't know how to put these things together. So they would write manuals that told you how to play the game. And if you watch as the games evolve, um, they start getting into, like, with RPGs, they have the text interfaces that you use, and then it started to get to where there was almost like a standardization of what certain buttons did, or um, how to perform certain interactions, and that just became part of the design language for how games were built. And that's kind of this, and that's the same thing here. We now, like, it used to be that text and characters were at a premium because of how much memory you had on the system you were working with. That's no longer the case. So we are allowed to be descriptive in what it is that we're building. And again, still subjective, because this is humans trying to tell humans how things are being done. But what I'm saying is that it's not as daunting as it used to be when you would go trudging around in the implementation of, like, third-party stuff. And what that means is, like, so to me, when I'm building this, Android is a third-party library on this. If I were building this in only Kotlin, then I would, like, go and look through Kotlin stuff. But even as part of the unit testing methodology for testing things like view models and stuff like that, Android doesn't exist in the unit testing sphere of these projects. It will come up with nothing when you attempt to access something Android related. And that's a logical decision that Android made to say, like, that's how this is put together. So you end up seeing that, like, yeah, this is a third party item. This outline text field, this is an Android only thing. This is not from Kotlin. So it's good to know what it's doing and why, because it might require you to defend against it. Now, because this would be like saying, oh, you should defend against React when you're building a website with React. Not really. But other things that are outside of it, like, that's something to consider. So it's always good to look into what your third-party stuff's doing, because it's not something that you would expect as a result of the language. And because we have the power of more memory, more than we've ever had, or even imagined we could, these things are actually readable. So for me, what I'm looking for is how to add a hint to this to tell the user what they need to put in here. And I'm wondering if that's part of the text field, or if that might be part of the basic text field API. So I might have to go find that. Yeah, because I'm seeing, like, read only and labels and supporting text for whatever that is. Keyboard options. Okay. So, and the thing too, like, a lot of these have, like, helpful things to tell you what the parameters are. Like, this is something, as we build this project more, Detect's going to start yelling at me to add those things in. I do need to make that a part of the commit hook, and we can do that together at some point. But yeah, these are extremely valuable. And as long as they are actually describing what's going on, like, you're saving your future self and future developer friends a lot of time by taking the time to put things in here to say what they are. Yeah, I wonder what the text is in this one. Because this is the label. So the label would be, if we go back here, it'll add a little label up here to say what to put in here. So like when you see something that says username or password, but I'm wondering if they've moved away from hints or if I'm just not seeing it. Well, let's find out. What do we got? Oh, it's always not good if you don't. Oh dear. Okay, so it mentions hints in here. Mm-hmm. Provides no hint or placeholder. Oh. Weird. Ah, jeez. Come on, compose. Okay. Placeholder? Is that what they've renamed it to? Might be. Okay. Pull this back over so I can keep staring back and forth. Okay. Oh, why are we mad? Well, that's weird. Oh, because they're all units. Okay, so I think we need to surround this. Make this text. Oh, that's weird. Interesting. Like, could you make it not text? Like, placeholder text is meant to be text. Okay. Well, that's fascinating. Okay. I just forgot everything I know about buttons. Set the on click and set the text. Can you set that inside the button? Is that the label? Because this is weird. I wonder if you can do that. I guess not. And we should promote these actually, so let's do that properly. You could probably use this a lot. I can probably extract it, but I don't feel like it. Okay, string resource, yeah, it's gonna want the R file. Come on, honey. You know which R file I want. Cool. And this button, oops. Next. Oh. That's... I don't like that at all. That's probably because it doesn't know what to do with this button. Okay. All right. So that's that. Give me a button. And then I just need to set their thing. Interesting. So trailing commas are nice in some ways. Like that's what I'm looking at right here. I'm wondering why it put one here but not here. If I did that or if the system did that. They can like Git sees them and helps make that part of the blame file for when you're looking to see who did what. I'm not used to trailing commas because I didn't come from JavaScript. But they can and are important. Okay, so let's get that in here. We're going to constrain this as text field entry. I'm going to do this as button next. And then I think if I copy this one, I'll basically get the same constraints, but okay. As my tower takes off and when I start the build. Cool. Very simple, very like easy thing to do here. If I was to rerun it, check my running devices here. Minimize that. Let's make this a little bigger so we can see it. So now I'm betting that pushed the button down as that grows larger. I wouldn't be surprised. So, so this is important design-wise. Like we'll have to anchor the button to the bottom probably, and then have this like the weight of this one be larger, or if there is a way to set its height, which I assume there is. These are views. We'll set its height to 0 so that it takes up all of the space that's available. But we'll have to think of a nice like aesthetic way of pushing this together. Now, the thing I wanted to check. So we did our view model. So it's right here. And because it is in this scope, I'm wondering if it will survive, because I believe we set the so we have the on value change set up, at least we hope so, and this view model should survive rotation, hopefully. For those of you unaware, when you rotate on an Android device, it completely destroys the view you are seeing and rebuilds it in landscape. So I'm wondering, look at that. Oh, that's nice. Oh man. That's fascinating. I'm wondering if this is because it's outside like this, if it's in the activity scope. And that's why it's surviving. That's okay. You used to have to either hope that the system remembered that this is what it is. There was also a time when you would build what was called a headless fragment, and then you would go search the fragment manager for it to get your data back. There was something that you could do with a very old paradigm called async task, because async tasks were tied to their context. So like that's just what it did. And So it just, when you feel like a weight lift off your shoulders for something that you're just not going to have to manage, I'll probably want to look into this more so I can fully understand what it's doing. But at the moment, uh, there are times, and this is something I learned early in my development career. Actually, in my very first like college level programming class, the teacher would ask questions about what's going on, and then he's like, okay, and now we're going to use the string class to build a string. And for anyone here, do you know how the string class works? And of course we're all like, this is the first time someone's seen Java in their life. For some of us, we've coded before and like may not have made that deep dive just yet. And after giving us enough time to kind of like shuffle around, he goes, who cares? Does it work? Does it work each time you use it? Great. If you're interested later, you can take a look. But for right now, if it's serving your purpose, let it serve the purpose. Don't waste a bunch of time acting like you need to understand what's going on just because you feel like that's the only way to do this. So I'm kind of in that same place right now where like I understand what a view model is. I understand what this is doing for initialization. What I'm not understanding is what the scope of this is. My assumption is the activity because that's what's going to be calling this, but it's not apparent. And what I learned from today, just looking through and looking through view model lifecycle, that makes sense. Yeah. So this class itself, like that's the thing too. Like this is a top level variable. So like it's not scoped to this function, and since the composable is a part of this function, like yeah, when this rotates and rebuilds, like this isn't rebuilding because it's not within this scope. So that's fascinating. Like that's that's just so much easier than how we used to have to do this on Android. So I'll give it that. Like that's definitely something that is way better with this composable piece rather than what we were doing. So that's great. Oh man. It's gonna save a lot of headache. Okay. Well, we're halfway there. If we go and look at our board and see where my board's at. How does that read? It does read better. Okay, I'll start using the smaller monitor from now on. Like again, Tobias BMS, thank you for saying so. Yeah, thank you. If ever something weird's going on with the stream, anyone, please just feel free to holler it so I can fix it for you. I'm not going to notice because I'm in the middle of like what I'm doing. So thank you very much for telling me that. It looks like things are better on this smaller view for what we're doing. So I will readjust my stuff so I can use it. But yeah, so as far as where we're at, yeah, I do have it in progress. Good. I tend to forget to move these across. Let's make this a little bigger. How's that read? Reads a little okay. We'll get more opinions on how it's reading. Oh, let's see here. That's probably fine. So right, we got to where we've got the button and we've got an editable box. then we need to work on the enablement, which since we have the view model that's keeping track of whether or not that's or that's keeping track of the text that's in there, we have a hook for that. So like, where's my view model? I have to figure this out too. So like we have this update moment, so that can tell us to signal back to the to a different state, like a state manager for this view, to say, hey, actually your button's in a disabled state, and we can start building things that look a little bit more stateful and see how it handles that. Although I think it's just going to be either a hook we pass into the view model to say, hey, this is like how this works, or we're going to find out, because I can think of a ton of ways to do this, given that we do have a moment that will tell us whether or not this thing's updated. So that's cool. But we'll do that next time, since we started a little later. But yeah, it seems like we're moving right along. Again, tomorrow will be our QA day, so we'll be taking a look at what we've got in the queue, if there's anything to take a look at. We will also be writing test plans for the tickets that we have, so that'll be good to do. And once we get through that should go pretty quickly, since we only have one ticket, and then the other tickets are pretty well written that we can probably do some quick test plans. Once that's done, we can just keep moving forward. Something that I did not do, that I totally said I was going to do, and I just started working, is I did not make a branch for this. So yeah, we're still in the right place. So if we check our status, let's do that real quick. So we've got all of this, and we need to put this into a branch. You're going to find out how I do this, because I don't remember the commands for this. So what I'm going to do is do this in a kind of a silly way, just to show you there's multiple ways to do it. But I always, because I forget the commands, and because I've only got a little bit of time left, I'm just going to do this in a way that I'm used to. So we're going to go away. We're going to create a branch off of main. We're going to call it, which story is this? Where's the board? Feel 6. Okay, so Feel 6. Cool. So now we got Feel 6. Uh-oh. Well, that was weird. Bitbucket, are you there? All right, create a branch off of main. Let's make it a feature branch. Okay. Cool. All right, so now that branch exists. So if I was to... You could also fetch. You don't have to... Oh, it made both. Silly git. Why must y'all make this difficult? There you are. So cool. Show me all the branches. All right, we're gonna remove that one. We don't want it. I like the feature on the front. It does scream like what it's doing. It makes it so that they're searchable in a way. So, all right. And something I should probably do here is because I haven't checked either of them out, so they aren't local yet. That's okay. Can't check out. Oops. Hang on. We need to stash my changes here. Just, this is how I do it. Cool. Yeah, this is field 6, right? Field team 6. All right. Cool. Now I can push that up. What's nice about this is something that's small enough to where I could like come in here and create a pull request. So if I was to refresh this, and now somebody could like take a look at this and let it go in. And that would be a very good CI practice, because now I have something that's committed. If I have tests that run over it, then those tests will run. I have somebody that can review like the very few lines of code. So like if I was to, let's create one. Sure, I think this is okay. I don't want to delete the branch because I'm not done yet. There it is. You can see the 3 files have changed. You got the constraint layer. So like this is very, let's make that a little bigger. I mean, this is really easy to understand. It's like, okay, you had that, you made the value of this, that's from the view model that you built here. Here's a button, it's got constraints, it's got, the next on it, okay. Here's the view model that's got those 2 functions in it that link back up to here, and then here's the 2 strings you built. So like 57 lines to review. How much of a gift is it to say that you only need to review 57 lines and 1 deletion at the end of your day? Like, that's nothing. So, I mean, if this looks good, which, yeah, it does. Like, the other thing to remember is, as long as this isn't going to impact, like anything in production, or it's not disabling other features, which you may not know yet, but that's the whole point of the CI piece, is like, I commit this, it goes in. Now, if somebody is negatively affected, they check the blame, they can yell at me, and we can work together. So that's why you do this. So we take, yep, and yep. I can approve it, which, I mean, I'm the only approver, and then it just merges right in. Merged, added the view model and UI. Cool. So again, because I'm working alone, I didn't need to pull main before I did my pull request. I should have. I'm taking a lot of shortcuts because I'm working on my own, but I'll remember to do that next time. So if I reload the page, everything's all happy. It's merged. Got the commit for the merge into there. And now if I check the commits, ta-da! There you go. Cool. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for joining me today. And we'll see you tomorrow when we start doing QA. Oh, bye, everyone.